My name's Peter and this is George. Please introduce yourself, George.
George Cromar. I was in Barnardo's from 5 weeks old. I was there for about 17 years.
What years were that?
From 1963 till 79, 80 maybe.
Wow. And did you have any siblings with you at all?
I've got one elder sister. She's 9 years older than me. And she was my guardian.
Yeah?
She was my guardian angel.
And what are your early memories about being in Barnardo's? Could you describe what it was like as a place and your general thoughts and feelings?
As a place, it was very beautiful. It was like living in a Victorian park. My earliest memories are living in what we called cottages, but they're actually detached, double-fronted, very large houses with other families, other children from other families. My earliest memories are waking up one morning with a large moth on my pillow, being absolutely traumatised. Other memories are with the family that were from Manchester. There was 3 siblings I shared a house with, amongst others. We lived as brothers and sisters. We'd have house parents, which were generally a married couple. Sometimes they had their own children with us, and they would fill up the house with us Barnardo children, their own children. We could sleep probably 10, maybe 12 people to a cottage. And we lived largely quite successfully.
Mm-hmm. And did you get on, or was there arguments? I mean, how did that work? You've got 10 people living in 10 children living in the same home. Was there fights or arguments?
The dynamics are the same as any family. There's going to be fights. There's going to be good times. I'm laughing because I'm thinking about the first time I met you.
Please tell them the first time we met.
Talking of fights, I happened to go past Peter's cottage one afternoon and got attacked by a certain small-sized Peter.
How old were we then? Do you remember?
Probably 5 or 6. But by and large, it was a happy place to live. Most of the time, people got on. There was obviously bullying and some violence, but generally it was quite a happy place, as you'd expect in whatever a normal family is outside the care system. Every family has their ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
We had installed in us a brotherhood or sisterhood. So there was always a bond between most of Barnardo's brothers and sisters. That bond was a good thing and a bad thing, as I've come to learn in later life. Sometimes you have people in your life which, for whatever reason, aren't necessarily good to have in your life, but you're shackled to those people because of the Barnardo's bond.
This post-Barnardo's?
It's become post-Barnardo's, but at the time you grew up in an environment where you looked out for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the natural progression is you leave Barnardo's, you go your separate ways, and you're still looking after people that you shouldn't be, basically.
We come on to that a bit later. As in post-Barnardo's. Yep. So, one thing is, how do I scroll up? Okay. So, in terms of, how would you describe the daily life, or the social life, daily life?
Daily life could be quite, not sure if regimental is the right word. You're living in a family, in a household, there could be 10, 12 people, as I said. To get half a dozen or more kids through bathrooms, ready for school, to get them fed and watered, things needed to be done in a kind of regimented fashion. The social side was excellent. We used to live, the home we lived in, I don't know how many acres it was, but it was a considerable size. It was made up of 60 of these cottages, and they were set out in a number of oval patterns, probably larger than the size of a 400-metre running track, and then you had cottages around certainly the longer sides of the oval, sometimes all the way around.
So funny enough, when I went to Barnardo the last time to do the filming, there was a guy there, and he was running around the small ring, and I said, "Oh, so how long are you going to do there?" He said, "We used to run around that when we were kids. How many are you going to do?" He said, "Oh, I'm going to run around it 13 times. That's 5 kilometres, which works out to be 400 metres." the circle. Yeah, and that was the baby green, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, the small green.
That was the baby green.
Yeah.
One of the things that I remember about the social side, you could step out your front door with a football, kick the ball to the middle of that green, and by the time you jogged out there, there would be probably another 2 or 3 people there to meet you. Within 10 minutes, you'd have a full-scale football game going on with probably 30, 40 participants sometimes. The same with bicycles. If you went in, nobody had mobile phones, or although the cottages had telephones, we weren't allowed to use them. If you wanted to see one of your play friends or Barnardo's brothers or sisters, you'd have to go and knock on the door. And to go out on a push bike just across the green, by the time you got over to whichever cottage you were going to, there was normally somebody calling out of a window on the front door. Are you going to the forest, are you going here, or are you going there? So there was always things to do. Some things we shouldn't have been doing, some things we...
Adventure playgrounds there.
They had tennis courts, adventure playgrounds, swimming pool, sand pits, climbing frames, all sorts of things. The home we were in was called the village, and that's exactly what it was. It had its own school, nursery schools, hospital. They used to have a dentist surgery, so a dentist used to come in. Had an old people's home, a baby unit. It literally had everything. So some orchards it had. Some of the things we weren't supposed to do. The hospital was a raised building. It was on almost on stilts, on brick stilts. And being kids, we used to go and play underneath the hospital, which obviously we'd have gotten into trouble for. So there's plenty of things that we shouldn't be doing that we used to do, climbing up on roofs. So breaking into the church, there was no damage. It was sometimes there was windows that didn't lock in the church that was there, and we'd go in there and either ring the bells or play on the microphones. And there was as many things that we shouldn't be doing that we were able to do in that environment. The things that we should have been doing.
What were the relationships with the staff, like uncles and aunts?
It's the same as any family, extended or otherwise. In the whole, or on the whole, I think people probably got on with the house parents within their own house. Most of any problems or animosity was with kids from other cottages and house parents from other cottages. in the big scheme, everybody was pulling in the same direction, but where there were some children that could be troublesome.
No names, no pack, John.
It was obviously preferred that we didn't hang around, or those troublesome kids didn't hang around with children from other cottages where they was thought to be nicer children.
Would you say that the house parents treated you fairly? Was it like racism? I mean, how did you experience? Were there gendered roles and all that sort of stuff?
With regards to racism, I had no concept of racism until I was probably 8, maybe 10. I was actually fostered between 8 and 10 out of Barnardo's. Certainly.
Do you know why you were fostered?
Prior to going, it was about trying to give me an opportunity. I wasn't having too much interaction with my mother. That was the only, apart from my sister, that was my only actual family contact. And it was just considered that I would get a better start in life if I was to join a normal family.
What was that like, sort of coming from Barnardo's to one house?
Same problems on a much smaller scale. If things went well, they went well. If they went bad, they went bad. In Barnardo's, things could be escalated to a spectacularly bad scenario.
Any example?
Off the top of my head, no, but I'm sure we'll come to it. The day I was going to say the day I left Barnardo's, didn't leave Barnardo's, got thrown out of Barnardo's. I went off to the local police station, went off to a short stint in a remand centre until we could get my legal status sorted out. And the 2 members of staff involved went off to King George's Hospital.
Okay.
I had no idea of how these things could be escalated.
Okay, that's a good example. What about you mentioned about race, and your first experience was like in 8 years of age. So how did that?
I remember somebody using the word, the N word, and somebody came up and we were discussing something, and somebody came up and said, yeah, somebody called somebody the N word. I'd never heard the N word. And when I asked about it,
This was in the foster home?
no, it was in Barnardo,
okay.
in the village. I think there was 3 or 4 of us in the conversation, myself and at least 2 of the other people were black. And I had no concept of this word at all. None. Things have changed since then.
Yeah. But I mean, generally, so apart from that, was there anything else?
I wasn't aware that racism was even a thing. I had no concept of the concept of racism.
So would you say that, for example, like black and white children got on, or did they not see it?
100%. You didn't see colour. In fact, looking back, probably from the age of 30, late 20s, 30, to the Barnardo's brothers and sisters that I was still in contact with, it shocked me the number of the high number of them that were black. And I said to myself, have I subconsciously filtered out the white people?
This is after, yeah?
This was as a late 20s, 30 something year old. And the more I looked into it, the more people, I just didn't realise that there were so many black people in Barnardo's.
What about the staff? Were they, I mean, how did they treat the children? Was it all equally, or did they treat like one of their own, or was it anything like that?
We're probably talking about 100 staff, so it's probably...
In your experience?
My experience, people were largely treated the same. I had a bit of blessed time in Barnardo's, because in my very young days, my sister was in the home with me, and she was 9 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, she was my protector. If you had a problem with me, you had to,
Deal with
you
Linda.
had to go through my 6 foot sister.
Yeah.
5'10" sister. So, and as you know, the girls were capable of holding their own just as well as the boys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right. So there wasn't even, like I was mentioning, like girls would be girls or they could be tomboys, so to speak.
Yes.
It wasn't like, oh, you're a girl, therefore, It was like, it
Yeah,
depends.
lots of tomboys.
Yeah. So, now, I remember during that time. In fact, actually, you didn't expand on the way how we first met, George. You didn't expand it, apart from that,
Well, the fact that you attacked me. As I said, I was walking past your cottage around the green, and somebody came around the side of their house shouting and waving a stick or a lump of wood, and then started throwing mud bombs at me. And then I found out some months later that we had a new boy moving into our house, and when he turned up, who was it? None other than...
That was a good cottage, that was a good cottage. I mentioned names. Mr. Hickman.
Gordon Hickman, Gordon and Dorothy, their son Stephen.
Mm-hmm. In the Merchant Navy.
He was in the Merchant Navy.
Yeah. How did you find them?
Enjoyable. I liked Dorothy. I liked Gordon. I liked them all actually. As in most cases, it was Gordon that was the disciplinarian.
Yeah.
And he knew how to beat us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying we didn't deserve it, but sign of the times back in the day was if you did something wrong, you got a clip round the ear hole. He certainly literally knew how to tan your arse. But prior to that, far more disturbing, we were with, or I was in a cottage called Faith with a family, Mr. and Mrs. Kerrigan,
Right.
and they would hit you across the back of your hand. You'd have to hold a fist out if you got caught with your elbows on the table and
Right.
hit the back of your hand across the knuckles with a serving spoon, which when you were 4 was like a shovel. We used to play most cottages had a piano.
Yeah.
And as kids we'd go and play the piano, and then we'd get told off for that. So they'd lock the piano, but some of them we could play from underneath. So we'd go and play the piano from underneath. And then we'd hear the staff yelling and screaming and go running out into a different room, pretend it wasn't us. And we'd get slippered with a pimp's hole for that.
Mm.
But the weird thing, he never stopped us doing it. We knew we'd get caught. There was only a certain number of children in the house. But from a corporal punishment / violence point of view, back in the 60s, that's how people discipline their children.
Mm. I do remember being in Beehive Classic, and used to drive my house parents, Jackie Williams.
Bill
Williams, yeah. And it was like, yes, we used to muck about outside of school and in the playground, but when we were in the house, we were like pretty well behaved. But when it was bedtime, we used to muck about so much, running up and down, go to the, one time going to the toilet now, they go to the toilet, fill their mouth up with water, go to bed pretending they were asleep, and then creep up at night, tap somebody and spit in their face, and then running all over, and then not realising, of course, that we were directly above the living room, so they could hear all what's going on.
The wooden floor.
Yeah, and so when Bill we used to come up the stairs. We'd obviously go in bed, like make like we were really asleep, deep, in our deep state of sleep. Like he wasn't having any of it, like, at all. We couldn't as kids understand, but they could hear everything we were doing directly below. Sort of thing.
Prior to that, in Larchfield, back with the Hickmans.
Not talking about bath.
Oh yeah. No, we are going to bring that up.
Not to the world.
You're in charge of the editing, aren't you? No, I was going to say, going back to the Hickmans, I had a bunny rabbit with a plastic face, a soft
yes.
toy. Did you have a gollywog or something?
No,
What was it used to have?
I did have a big teddy bear, which I threw up on, which I gutted.
We used to get out of bed and whack each other.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
With our cuddly toys.
It's funny.
Till we wind up with Gordon Nickman coming flying in, whacking the pair of us.
Also used to do reading classes, I don't remember that.
We used to go to a different...
Yeah, that's right. You had to go across our big green to some cottage, sit down.
Is it Mr. Yallop?
That's it, that rings a bell. Yeah. If you read a page well, you used to get a sweet.
Oh, I wouldn't have got any sweets. It's terrible.
I do remember that. That was just before.
At Something Francis, the cottage. Oh yeah, you're right, we did used to go to reading classes as well.
Yeah. It's funny what you remember, isn't it?
Mm.
I mean, I remember we used to have a piano, but since I didn't play the piano, apart from going doo, 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 like this, but I think we used to do piano lessons, is that right?
Yeah, the older kids did musical instruments and pianos. And one thing I'll say about Barnardo is obviously they'd had a heck of a long time by the time we were there, towards the end of their children's homes, but they had the ability to provide on such a broad cross-section of things. And if you look at, when you say about musical instruments, obviously donations, people donate trumpets, violins and all sorts of things. And they would work out a way to get volunteers in or staff that could play instruments to come and teach. I was quite interested in sailing when I was a teenager. I used to sail for Redbridge and Fairlock. And Barnardo's managed to blag a sailing boat
I didn't know that.
from somewhere. It needed refurbishing. And they just said to me, look, if you know what you're doing, we'll provide the money. And they used to take me to the Chandlers and used to buy all sorts of stuff and strip it all down and fill it all in and get it all going. To the point where we used to sail it over at Stubbers.
Wow. I didn't know that.
But they had tremendous resources. As you know, I spent a couple of years, or over a couple of years in my school holidays on a farm in Surrey.
That's right, yeah. That was because you had a hobby.
I used to keep lots of animals in the home. Top of the pole was probably my goat. I had ferrets, a polecat, budgies, terrapin, fish. What else did I have? A toad, jackdaws, 2 types of pheasants, chickens, ducks, all sorts of stuff. As long as they were being looked after and we weren't causing a bother, and Barnardo seemed to take the view that better my time taken looking after a menagerie of animals rather than being out and about smashing up bus shelters and sniffing glue or whatever it was that kids were doing.
Back then, yeah. Bangers. So, I mean, how did, this is like when you were in Barnardo's as such, what was your perception of the ideal family?
I don't know that I had one, to be honest. I really don't know that I had one. We used to daydream that perhaps one day your dad would turn up and what? I was quite happy where I was. We all had our own problems, we all had our own ups and downs, but especially once I'd been fostered, I had similar problems in my foster relationship than I did living in Barnardo. So.
Similar or worse? Or?
As I said, same sort of thing, just scaled down. I was in trouble at school, was in trouble at home. My foster brother and I used to fight not infrequently, the same as things that life was like in Barnardo's.
We had some epic fight, by the way, didn't we?
Yeah, the common denominator is. And things had transpired, or things came to an end there. My foster brother hit me on the head with a hammer, which might explain a lot. He and I wound up into quite a big punch up. His mum came upstairs and started having a go at me. I spoke back to her. She slapped me. Said that if she slapped me again, I'd hit her back.
She did it.
A few weeks after that, I wound up back in the village.
Bags packed at the door. Okay.
Well, it was a mirror image of the way we carried on in Barnardo.
So I mean, you know, like before we used to go to church, didn't we? Let's go to church every Sunday.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we went to school in Barnardo's, didn't we?
Yes.
And then they closed, for some reason they closed the church down, even though it still exists. And they closed the school down, didn't they?
Yes.
And we all had to go out. I mean, when you had to go out and go to school amongst the so-called the community, the wider community, how did people view you? How did people view you? Sort of, that you were from Barnardo's. How did your peers?
Well, the closing of that school coincided with the second time I was fostered to that family. So when I came back, yourselves and other Barnardo siblings were already at other schools. It shocked me that the journey from Barnardo's to the school I was going to, there seemed to be quite a bit of animosity with the residents around the school. If there was ever any problems between Barnardo's and the school used to get phone calls. And it always struck me as quite wrong that the headmaster, Mr. Richards, if there were problems either prior school or post school, and people would phone and complain, he'd make all the Barnardo's children stand up in assembly and get a dressing down.
Right. Even though they were the culprits or something. There was no evidence or proof.
I assume there was no evidence or proof that it was us. It generally was us. Other than the fact, then you brought up earlier the awareness of racism. It may be that it was reported that a number of black kids, and we may have been the majority of black kids at the school.
Gotcha.
So maybe that was the profiling, I think they call it now.
I think I saw a Howland Pace version of that. I've never even seen that one. They have a line-up.
Oh, I saw that.
It's so funny,
this
isn't it?
week I saw it.
Yeah, I see it too. He's like, "Are you sure he ain't got a man?" He's like, okay. No, there's just one man, black man, and all women. No, okay. Now we've got a plant, a wardrobe, and a black man. So, what aspects would you say you enjoyed when you're in Barnardo's?
The recreational side was always superb. Not always for the reasons intended. One of the things that Barnardo used to arrange was for us to go to Valentine's Park, which was probably 2 or 3 miles, 2 miles from Barnardo's. And the highlight of going there is that we went on one of the London Red buses, and there was always some squabbling about who would sit above the driver, upstairs above the driver, and pretend to be the driver. When we actually got to the park, which was a beautiful, I assume, Victorian park, we may as well have been in the village.
Yeah, I was thinking that myself.
The problem was we didn't have our footballs, we didn't have our bicycles, we didn't have our kites, we didn't have our 7-inch records, which we used to use as frisbees. We just didn't have our toys, and playthings.
Yeah.
The only thing that they had, which we didn't, was they had a lake.
Yeah.
But recreation side, if they took us to the forest, life was simpler then. We didn't sit there on tablets and computers and
Just play football, cricket, bench playground.
lots of sports, lots of things.
So when you left, you described a little bit about the circumstances of you leaving Barnardo's. What was it like? What did you feel when those first few months or years when you left Barnardo's?
I think Barnardo's had a situation, although I was kicked out of the home, as you know, Barnardo's don't relinquish your care immediately. It's not an immediate stop, there's no drop off. So you get assigned a social worker, you're found accommodation, whether it be a bedsitter or a flat. Some people left Barnardo's and shared with their Barnardo siblings, so there might be two people in a flat or one person in a bedsit. I initially, after my short stay at Her Majesty's pleasure.
Wow. How long was that for?
It was 5 days. It was literally, I needed to go through the court system.
Right. So not involved.
Court was only on a Wednesday.
Right.
And it just so happens that I got arrested on the Thursday, or the Wednesday night, I think it was, I got arrested, so I had to spend Thursday I was in court, so by the time I came back round to court, it was the following Wednesday or something like that. So it was only 5 days, and then I went to live with my sister. The reality is I could have gone and lived with my sister the day I got arrested.
Right.
I think it was just Barnardo's trying to be...
Make a point.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, make a point. So when you left though, did you feel homesick or alone or?
When I left, I still used to come back because my sister only used to live a couple of miles away from the village. I was working then as a trainee goldsmith. So on the way home from work, invariably I'd stop off in Barnardo's and just chill with people. So my leaving Barnardo's was gradual. Affair rather than a drop off.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people were displeased because I'd been thrown out, but I was still coming back. But I think most people were probably a bit too frightened to come back and tell me to my face.
You mean staff? Let's get this right. Kids loved you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, when you left it up, and what is it you eventually ended up doing? Sort of,
Professionally, I'm still a goldsmith. All these years later, 46, 47 years later.
Is that whereabouts?
In Hatton Garden in London.
It's a jewellery centre, isn't it?
It is a jewellery centre, and oddly enough, I have blown my own trumpet. I have a really good reputation within the industry and within livery companies in the city, and that is all based on the Christian values, certainly Barnardo's values. Obviously Barnardo's is a Christian organisation.
Yeah.
My reputation has been built up on those values.
Gotcha.
And particularly the livery companies. They're very oldie worldy companies. They've been around since the 12th, 13th, 14th century, and they've got very oldie worldy ways of doing things and viewing things, and I think it lends themselves to that mentality.
Yeah.
Many of these companies until recently have been run, the CEOs are called clerks. many of the clerks, or historically, most of the clerks have been ex-military people. And as you know, many of the children's homes, Barnardo's children's homes, were run by ex-military people, ex-naval officers.
Yeah, when I think about it, yeah, I mean, Mr. Hickman, and there were some other guys there. I remember when I was going to join the army, and one guy was like, I'm sure he'd been in Malaya or something. I can't remember his name, this is in Sindel.
But many of the predecessors to Collins, Mrs. Collins used to run it.
The Colonel, there's the one, wasn't it? The guy called the Colonel.
Yeah, and I think his predecessor as well was, many of them were ex-military. Probably because they've got the logistics now to run an organisation like that.
Yeah, and also, you know, to keep, or to try and keep